Did Heroes in Crisis live up to the hype?
Yes.
Does it deserve the title of Crisis?
Yes.
Find out more as we conclude this tale by Tom King. Welcome to the Oblivion Bar, a safe haven for all DC comic fans. I'm your host, Khalil Hill, and today we are concluding the story that is Heroes in Crisis. We're going over issues 7 through 9, and make sure you go back and watch our earlier videos on the first 6 issues of this series. Was this conclusion what you expected at all?
It wasn't what I expected, because I've come pretty used to, comic books wrapping everything up with a pretty bow. Everything's okay. This won't really have repercussions. And that didn't happen at the end of this book. This book was like, hey, shit happens and it continues to happen. Life is hard. Your heroes get jailed.
Yeah, I mean, it did not happen exactly the way I expected. I'm not going to lie. I kind of expected Wally to be dead. Not like dead, because we all know he would have come back somehow. But I expect him to be dead at the end of this. And so for him not to die did throw it off. But I do think it's how it needed to end.
Just want to say I totally predicted that Wally was the one to kill everyone. I didn't get the Harley Quinn and Booster Gold stuff totally right. I was off on that. But
it is true. Make sure you watch one of our earlier videos on
Proud of you.
Robbie's prediction.
so it did end in that way how I expected, to be fair. But no, I totally agree. I thought there was going to be a much nicer wrap up to it as far as everything being kind of all right, and I don't think that's how it ended at the very end.
I think I had higher hopes for the conclusion, but did I really think that they were gonna bring everything full circle by the end? No. I felt like if they did, it would be really rushed because I had a lot of questions going from issue 8 to issue 9 that I thought would have been answered back in issue 5. But hey, life goes on. Before we get into the thicker discussion of this book,
The nitty gritty.
yes, Joe, go ahead and tell the folks what we have to drink here today.
All right. Today, I brought Wise Bird Cider Company, Commonwealth Gold. Small family-run business. It's just opened up on the 6th of June. They pride themselves on very dry ciders, and this is actually the sweeter one that they have out right now. They believe in being good people, hiring good people, and giving back to the community. So the cider we're drinking is called Commonwealth Gold. Going to go ahead and throw a pun at Booster Gold. But
Bazinga.
The residual sugars are 1%, which makes it a semi-dry. And I actually had to look up what residual sugars meant because I'm not a cider person, and they put RS 1% on next to the tag, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to talk about that. So I had to do a lot of research.
Cider, I barely know.
Gosh. Well, I'm glad it's taken at least this long for that joke to finally come out.
But it is a 6.7% cider. So it's up there for ciders, and all the apples that they got are from Evan Orchard in Georgetown, Kentucky. So everything is Kentucky proud, and that's what they're striving for. This is a really crisp, clean, easy drink cider. Usually ciders after one. I can't drink another one because my teeth start to hurt because it's so sugary. But this is really easy. It's clean. It's clear. It's bubbly like champagne almost. It's very intriguing for me.
Yeah, I'll have to piggyback on that. I've always enjoyed ciders. I'm not usually one to pick them up at the store, to be honest. Usually if I'm going for an easier drink, it's going to be a beer or something like that. That said, I totally agree. Very crisp, good taste. It's not too sweet. Drinkability's up there. Would I drink this all night? Probably not, but I'd probably have at least 2 or 3 of them, if I'm drinking it over the course of the day. Of course, drink responsibly. All of you out there. 2 or 3 within an hour period is not responsible.
But it is fun.
Hey! Stop subverting me.
It's not responsible.
It happens.
But no.
How do you... Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just wrapping up and saying that I think it's good. It's good stuff.
Ethan, how do you feel about it, man?
Yeah, this is another one of those drinks where I would get my girlfriend to order it for me, and then I would drink it.
Oh my gosh.
It's very good. It's a very good cider. It is not too sweet. I think you really nailed it when you said that. Like, usually ciders, I have one and I'm like, that was really good. I'm done now. This one, I feel like I could have 2 or 3 before I would get tired of
Like
it.
the fact that I could probably have 3 of these, and the fact that I could have 3 of a cider means that it's done right in my opinion, because it's not going to make my teeth hurt. Usually 1.5, and my teeth are hurting, and I'm like, nah, and I got to hand it over to my wife, which she's happily going to drink it.
Well, what do you guys rate this here cider?
It's clean, it's crisp, it's drinkable. I would, in terms of ciders, because I don't think you can put them on the same scale for me, I would probably give it a 7 or an 8 Wally deaths.
8 Wally deaths. That's strong.
7 or an 8, somewhere in there.
That's a
7.5.
normal amount of Wally deaths. What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, I'm about in the same range. Again, I don't think I can necessarily put it on the exact same spectrum as how I rate beer. Very similar. Drinkability is a big part of it. So yeah, I would say 7. 7 out of 10 Wally deaths.
I'm going to give this bad boy a 9 out of 10 Wally deaths.
Ooh.
For cider, specifically.
That's a lot of Wally
It
diets.
is. Well, really, it's an average amount. But, yeah, it's just so nice and light, and, like, it's still sweet without just killing you. I really like it. You guys should buy it.
Not killing you, but killing Wally 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we are already talking about Wally dying, we actually find out that Wally isn't dead, but we also find out a lot more about what he did to cause all of this mayhem. Yes, he loses control and accidentally kills just all these heroes that are taking refuge at Sanctuary, trying to work through their business. But then he goes through all of this convoluted trouble to, cover it up. What were your thoughts on how Wally, handled this situation, this whole mess of things that he caused?
It made sense to me. When you're put on a pedestal, because that's where Wally is, he's on a freaking pedestal, and you crumble the way that he crumbled, and he just murked 12 of his friends, basically. How do you just say, I'm sorry, I murdered 12 people?
Like that, I guess.
Like that. Just like that.
That's not very. Yeah.
That's not how it's going to work.
You turn
People will be
yourself
like-
in. Or
Or you kill yourself and you cover it up and you send somebody a note and say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It makes sense to me.
Well, no. So I get it because, it initially happened, and I think the shock was like, well, I need to do something about this. Like, I know that I can do something other than just turning myself in and calling it a day. He needed to give himself time. That was his thing. It's like, I need time to figure this out. Well, yeah, I'm one of the fastest thinkers in the universe, but this is a very, very complex problem. So that's why he had to do the whole convoluted. I gave myself 5 days to figure out what I needed to do, which was the fact that he needed to expose what had happened and what he had gone through and what all these heroes were going through. Like, that was what he thought was the best solution for the public. And I have to agree. Is it kind of convoluted? Yeah, but I think time travel's always freaking convoluted. Like, that's just in the nature of time traveling
See,
stuff.
I don't have an
There's
issue
nothing
with the time traveling thing. It's more of, did he have to go to the lengths of, let me show everyone where I've been and what all of us heroes are doing? Like, this is our business. The big three, the Trinity, they kept this, like, confidential for a reason. And these heroes went in there on the faith that this was going to be confidential. And Wally went and broke that trust of all these heroes on top of, like, accidentally killing all of them. But, like, why would I just?
But how else would you explain the death of 12 heroes, right? You don't want the Justice League to have to lie and cover it up, because that's obviously going to get exposed eventually, and that's going to make the situation so much worse.
You have brilliant minds like Wally, Barry, Batman, Superman's
No,
brilliant
Wally's
too.
dead.
Well, if he had come to them and he'd been like, yo, this is what happened, like, help me, I'm sorry, whatever, they could have come up with some kind of conclusion.
Who, literally, I want you to who would actually say, yes, you killed 12 of my friends, let me help you?
he would have gotten his help somehow. There have been consequences for sure. I'm not saying he wouldn't have had any trouble with it, but they know Wally, and they would have at least seen some kind of, remorse. This doesn't show his remorse.
Don't think that they would have helped him the way that you're. At least my perspective of what you're thinking is, I don't think it would have helped him that way.
And sorry, I've been talking a lot. Go ahead.
Here's kind of how I view it: is that Wally did this thing, and he now knows that he's the bad guy. He knows he's done wrong. And so he comes up with the best way to spin this, and he's like, well, the only way for this to be spun in the most positive light, or the most realistic light, is if I continue to do things that aren't really on the up and up. But he's already a bad guy. Like, he's already gone over the edge, so to speak, and he knows that if he does this, like, it's not going to be worse than his punishment for killing all those people, and he knows it needs to be done.
Okay, so my question to that would be, is his character now defined by his decisions and how he handled this? Does this now redefine how Wally is seen?
I don't think it's a total redefinition of his character, and I think Wally wasn't written the way we typically see Wally written. And while I don't have the greatest perspective on that because I have not read a bunch of other things with Wally in it, I would also argue that you're a different person under mental stress, right? Wally's not going to be acting like how Wally typically does because, he's under all this mental pressure and all these mental stressors that he's not going to be the same. He might do something that's totally out of character for him. That's like the big thing about mental illness is you're not acting like who you are. And I think understanding that might help people realize why we're not seeing the Wally that we typically see.
Also, Wally played judge, jury, and executioner for his own actions. Let's talk about the strength that takes to say, I f***ed up enough that I deserve capital punishment.
And he was essentially going to, which I think Tom King hit a very, very, very real issue here when it comes to mental illness, is suicide. And it was a different and very creative way to represent suicide, because you see Wally from 5 days in the future talking with Wally 5 days in the past, or however you explain that, but they're, he's like, you have to kill me, like, and he's talking to himself saying, you have to kill me, and then the other Wally consoles him and is like, no, like, you're not alone, and it was reading it was a little weird, but it was also like really powerful. It was strangely weird and powerful, and I connected with it in a very weird way.
I identified with him, so like it made me feel really good as a person with mental illness. Like, it touched me really hard, and it made me see. And again, I know I made a post about it being okay not to be okay.
Great post.
You can say that all day long, but at the same time, like, you can be like, well, it's okay for everyone else not to be okay, but it's not okay for me not to be okay. And so it's really hard, and for him to sit there and actually have two people of himself talking to himself and actually having that conversation that we all feel like we're having with ourselves in our heads, it really made you feel it. It made you feel like you were there and that you were the same person as Wally. You're like, I get this.
And to circle back to the question, I think that does redefine Wally. I think, in fact, we've redefined every character that this story has touched. I think we've seen sides and parts of characters that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. I think we can understand these heroes in a whole different light. And that light is that they're human.
Yeah. I think so, because in that scene where Booster and Harley are fighting again, which was an awesome scene. It was great.
That was fun.
But again, like we said in our past videos, these are the funny guys. Like Wally, Booster, Harley, they're the lighthearted, go-lucky, whatever you want to call them. And you see in this scene where Harley is attacking Booster, and then Batgirl knocks out Blue Beetle, which makes Booster's shields go down. But you see at this point where Harley has Booster pinned and is about to, like, spear him, and he's just like, do it! Just do it! And I'm just like, dang, like, that's strong. Like, that's really strong. And that's not the side you always see. Of
I
that
really
character.
couldn't tell in that scenario whether or not he was trying to call a bluff or he was just like, nah, whatever, just do it, just end it, make it happen.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, like it really redefines more than just Wally. I would definitely say that. I mean, heck, Poison Ivy's definitely redefined at this point. I mean, I don't know.
Regrown.
Yeah, she's regrown, which I like her look. It's really awesome, and I thought it was really sweet how her and Harley like reconnected. But I'm curious as to what Poison Ivy is going to be coming up.
Going back to the redefinition point again, at its core, Wally is still going to be the Wally that we know. Like, it's not going to totally redefine his character, in an incredibly drastic way. It's just we're able to view his character in a different lens now, I think, and all the heroes for that matter.
You almost every issue, if not every other issue, you hear him talk about Linda as his rock, the way he gets back from the Speed Force. She's sort of his, like, how he knows how to get back. And the loss of her and his family, I think that has a much greater mental strain than even these books can highlight, even though that's really the highlight of his whole story. Like, they're everything to him, and they're gone.
Yeah. What do you think?
I mean,
Joe.
Going off what Ethan said, you read this whole series, you learn about how Linda is his rock, and I mean, I personally can't imagine losing my wife. I would be devastated. I would probably be in the same boat he is. And you read all this, and you look at this cover of issue 8, and I don't know how that doesn't bring tears to anybody's eyes. I legitimately don't. Like, that artwork, you don't even need words. It's just so powerful.
I don't really think we see the true repercussions of this storyline as a whole. That said, I think the series as a whole is fantastic, and even though the ending wasn't as good as I would have necessarily liked it to be, I still think it's definitely worth the read.
Yeah, I can't go too extreme in one way or the other. I didn't absolutely hate it. I didn't absolutely love it. I liked it, and I had my issues with it, but the book has its merit, for sure, is what I would say. But
I do really, real quick, before you wrap us up,
Okay.
want to throw in that they also threw in a lot of reality. When they put Wally in jail, they handcuffed him and put him in jail. He had a mental illness. He messed up. Do I think he did good things? No. Do I think he messed up a lot? Yes. But they threw him in jail, and that's not what's actually going to help him in any way, shape, or form. And that is what they do in real life these days.
It's not like they could put him in Sanctuary, though. We
Yikes.
see how that turned out.
Okay, well, guys, we had a spectacular time reading the book regardless of our opinions of it, and even more fun, as you can see, talking about it. But definitely check this book out. It's worth the read. There will be a link in the description below to where you can buy this book. But that's going to wrap up our show for today. Make sure if you like this video to click that little thumbs up. And if you want to hear more about what we got going on from time to time, follow us on social media at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Oblivion. Make sure you click that little subscribe button and the bell so you can be notified whenever we upload videos. Question of the week. Did you enjoy Heroes in Crisis? We want to know what your thoughts are on this book, so make sure that you leave your answers in the comments below, and we will catch you all next time at the Oblivion Bar.
A large fresh orange juice, please.